Matt Rule just does not have a clue on how to run an offense.
Luke Getsky should be fired. He should be fired today.
I'll stand by you. Micah, bro, you got smoke.
Welcome to FaZe Fantasy Live with your host, Lonnie Z.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's your boy, Lonnie Z. This is FaZe Fantasy Live. And with me today is my partner in crime, Jake Hansen. What's up, Jake?
Hey, what's going on, Lonnie? You're back.
I am back, man. Hey, thanks a lot for holding down the fort while I was out last week. Appreciate it, man. You did a great job. Really enjoyed listening to you. A lot of good takes, and especially the Niners Vikings take. I enjoyed that one too.
I don't want to see it.
Man.
I don't want to see it.
Right? Exactly. No, but it was good, man. You did a great job. I appreciate that.
All right, come on, Lonnie. I'll give you a minute. Go. Let's go. 30
No,
seconds.
I'm not gonna.
Go.
I'm not gonna
we'll
gloat too much about it, man. But if we're just keeping it real, the Vikings dominated, and I named that episode that for a reason. Just so you could feel really good and at home. The Vikings did dominate. If they don't have the 2 turnovers in the red zone, then that game could have went. It could have been a whole different game. I just thought on paper it was closer than the actual game. Yeah. I thought the Vikings, and I just really think it's not better or worse. I just think for some reason maybe O'Connell has Shanahan's number a little bit, and like you did hit a good point. You said that sometimes Shanahan gets too cute. He's trying to outthink and out this instead of just let's line up and let's just do what we do. So it's probably a bunch of all that. Vikings at home. And the other thing, their Vikings defense is so underrated, and their offense and their quarterback, they're all really underrated by everyone. Mm-hmm. And I've been talking about this since, you and I have had a lot of conversations. I've been telling you, these Vikings, everyone's sleeping on the Vikings. And I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl or playoff or any of that. I'm just saying they're better than what the national media is giving them credit. And Sam Darnold is too. He doesn't have to be great. He just has to be good in that system. Purdy still threw for over 300. I was surprised, bro. Mm-hmm. He threw for over 300 yards. It's crazy, man. That was crazy. It didn't seem, watching that game, it didn't seem like he had over 300 yards passing, but he was getting busy. Yeah. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Now, unless you want to chime in real quick and
No, I'm good. We lost. The Niners lost, but there was a couple other games I think that was more shocking than that game with the Dallas Saints and with the Baltimore Raiders. If you want to talk about a team getting their ass beat, Dallas got their ass beat at home. So, we'll keep talking about that when we get through. But at home, that's the thing. Now, if the Niners got beat at home like that then I would have said it more. But Dallas got beat at home.
Yeah, man, that was pretty bad. That was embarrassing. If you're a Cowboys fan, you had to have been embarrassed. Sorry for our boy
Tony.
Tony, yeah. Hey, Tony, man.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry, Tony, but we got to call it like it is, brother. And I bet you Mike was happy. His team still won without Love. We didn't think that was going to happen.
He was happy.
All right, so this week we're going to preview week 3. And we're going to get through these games pretty quickly, get you guys all set. There's been a lot of injury stuff. If you checked out my video, my injury report, I put it up yesterday, and it's funny because as soon as I uploaded it, then there are new developments that came out. Real quick, doubtful is going to be Kenneth Walker III, so he's probably not going to play. So if you have Charbonnet, you can go ahead and throw him in there, even though he doesn't look great. But if that's what you got, go ahead and play Charbonnet. Found out this morning, Jake was telling me Kittle is doubtful or probably not going to play either. So there's a big void there. If you have Kittle and don't have another tight end, we'll try and come up with some suggestions for you, but you're in a tight predicament right there. Debo is out. He's doubtful, but he wasn't already trending not to play. So the Niners are really, really hobbling into that game against the Rams. Other injuries, we think Keenan Allen is still a game time decision. It looks like Rome Odunze is going to play, and he should be fine to run with that. So you got any more injuries?
Jordan Love, I just read on him. He's questionable. LaFleur said they were trying to figure it out. I don't think he would play this next game, but they said he's questionable. I don't know why he would.
That's
play
good
this game.
news.
Just let him sit. Yeah, but he's questionable.
No, exactly. But that's good that they're even discussing it this early, because we were thinking he's going to be gone for a while.
Yeah.
So that is good.
And Debo's out, right? Did you say Debo's out? Debo's out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
Debo is out, and AJ Brown is out another week.
AJ Brown's out. Cup's out. Cup is out for sure.
If you have any
Joe Mixon's out. Joe Mixon's
out. Cam Akers is only 4,000 on FanDuel. He's probably going to be chalked, but at 4,000, you have to get him in your lineup because you can really build a lineup around a starting running back. Even though that Vikings defense is tough against the run too, you still got to play him. You have to play him. He's going to be in all my lineups, and at that price, I can build a good team. We can build a good team around $4,000 RB1
for sure.
So but there's looks like Jefferson's going to play. He should be fine. Addison is out. Like you said, Mixon is out on the Houston side. But yeah, there's just a lot. And as we go through these games, we'll kind of touch on some injuries as we see them. And like the Justin Herbert, he's questionable, but he's probably going to play, in this first game. So let's get into it. LA Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, both of these teams are 2-0. It's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's winning games by their defense. They have no offense, which we've grown accustomed to seeing over the past 2.5, 3, ever since Big Ben left, they've had no offense. And even towards Ben's last season, it started to dwindle down. It looks like the Steelers are a 2.5-point favorite at home. So what are your thoughts on this game, Jake?
Defensive game, maybe. That's what it seems like. First one of 20 wins. I've been saying that about the Pittsburgh games the whole last 2 weeks. Herbert, I was trying to get more about Herbert. They're saying ankle sprain, questionable. Fantasy wise, J.K. Dobbins. Let's see if J.K. Dobbins can do that against Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh offense, like I said last week, I don't have nobody to pick for their offense other than maybe Najee Harris. But J.K. Dobbins, you got to keep. I read something yesterday. You got to keep using him until he can't.
Exactly.
Like I read the same thing like we've been talking about. Like I read something yesterday. It's like keep using him until you can't. Because how far can you keep doing this? And Pittsburgh's defense been showing that they could stop pretty much everything right now. So I do have the Chargers to squeak out because I think they could score 20 with Herbert. If Herbert don't play, then I would straight switch that around and pick Pittsburgh to win the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the Chargers too. This could be a muddy, dirty, just Pittsburgh type game. The over under is 34.5, which is really low. I mean, that's low. I would still take the under on it because, but and that might be tough because to be honest, the Chargers offense isn't a bad offense. Matter of fact, Quentin Johnson is finally looking like the draft capital that he is. And, coming out of TCU, he was dominant coming out of college. And so, he's starting to look good. As long as Herbert is healthy and they have that running game, they have a good defense. They look like a Harbaugh team. I mean, you remember back in the day when Harbaugh came into the NFL and the Niners were trash. They get Harbaugh and they became an elite team. That's what started the foundation for what we have today with the Niners. That attitude of we're going to get back our winning attitude and our traditional winning attitude that they had lost, from the time Seifert and Walsh had left, somewhere in between they had lost that, but he brought it back to them and that's where they're at now. And I think he's going to do the same thing, man, in LA. I'll be honest with you. They look like a whole different team this year. But yeah, so we both have the Chargers in that one to go into Pittsburgh and get their first win. Justin Fields too is an honorable mention. You know, the only reason I say that is because if he can get loose running, if they are comfortable with just letting him run, he could be one of those. We've seen that he's had those games in the past where he just can break a slate just with his legs. Now,
the last couple of games with Pittsburgh, though, he hasn't shown that yet, though. Like I thought the same thing. I picked him last week. I think I told you I did a DraftKings with him. I didn't, nothing really happened with him. But it seems maybe Tomlin is keeping him in the pocket more. But he is running. He's still breaking off when the pocket, collapses and stuff. But I don't think they're making any. I don't think they have a lot of run plays just for him, like the Bears had for him.
Yeah. I agree, and they, that's what we were saying last year about the Bears. They should, because that's what he does, and you have to build around what he's doing. But anyway, enough of that game. We have the Chargers, and those are the guys that we say to use in fantasy. The next game on the slate is the Vikings at home against Houston. Vikings get 2 points. So once again, they're a home dog, and over and under is 46.5. I don't know if we're going to get to that 46.5. We might, but both of these defenses are pretty good. And on both sides of the defense, there's some little revenge factor. You have Daniil Hunter coming back to Minnesota. They didn't want to pay him. And then you have Cashman and Grenard coming from Houston. And, Grenard had 12.5 sacks last year. Daniil Hunter, I think, had 16.5 for the Vikings. So they just flopped their 2 number 1 sack guys. I read a stat, man, that between Cashman, Grenard, Van Ginkel, and the new draft, Dallas Turner, all those salaries add up to Daniil Hunter's 1 salary. So that's why the Vikings didn't want to pay. And for business, it makes sense. All right, so what are your thoughts on this game?
This one, like we were talking about earlier, this is going to be a good game. Is it going to be a defensive game? Is it going to be a game that we finally see Houston's offense of what we've been talking about all preseason? Are they going to show up like the way that we thought? Like last week, Diggs didn't do anything. Collins went off again, so that's 2 games in a row. Tank Dell's been nowhere to be found the last 2 weeks. Are they going to start using them? Schultz been slow too. Mixon didn't do what he did the week 1. The Vikings, well, and that's the thing too. So fantasy wise, you have to use play Stroud if you Stroud, Collins, Diggs. I don't know. Diggs is still up in the air. And then Cam Akers, like you said, with 4,000, you got to use Cam Akers. Aaron Jones, I know he was a little banged up this week, but Aaron Jones would be good play. But Houston has a good run defense too, or it's just Chicago's run offense is just that garbage, and I think that's true about that. But Justin Jefferson, if he's healthy, I would play him, but just have that in the back of your head that hopefully he doesn't get re-injured with that quad. But you would have to play Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones, I kind of like Aaron Jones this week. To be honest, I like Aaron Jones this week, but they've been using Ty Chandler a lot on running the ball. He had 80 yards last week, so.
Yeah, he did.
Ty Chandler's one of those ones that you squeeze in, man. Ty Chandler's not a bad one. Not a bad one. Like if you have a stacked roster and you're like, man, I need somebody cheap just to take a chance on. He had 80 yards. He had more carries than Aaron Jones last week. So Ty Chandler's not a bad one to sneak in there.
And he's due.
He's
due to score a touchdown.
He's due to his touchdown. I don't know if I would play Darnold this week. Like I said, I don't think like that powerful of that he's going to be a top 10 fantasy scorer. He's doing great for what the Vikings are doing. He's doing what they are, but is he the top 5 or top 10 quarterback scorer? No. And against the Houston's defense, I wouldn't. And then maybe double think about Stroud also, because he hasn't really showed up and been the top 10 fantasy scorer either. He hasn't.
Yeah, well, Stroud may have a better game than we think because Dallas Turner and Ivan Pace Jr. are both out. And that's huge. Ivan Pace Jr., bro, is a beast at linebacker.
He's out now? He went off last week.
He is out.
He did get hurt at the end. He was going
and
off.
Yep, and Dallas Turner's out too, which is that's bad, man.
I'm gonna pick Houston just because of what I don't know. It's hard for me. I don't know. I'll pick. I'm gonna pick Houston.
We may see more Nico They may try to get him involved a little more just so he's not because he shouldn't be the third man out. I mean, they have to figure out a way to get all these guys some reps.
Tank.
You have to take Cam.
Tank Dell.
Oh yeah, Tank Dell. My bad. I was looking at Nico on the screen and
Nico, we were worried last week about Chicago's defense. Like, Nico went off against Chicago's D. So I mean, there's nobody that you know what I mean. But no, you're right with Tank Dell. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and Addison is out. Obviously, Sam Darnold, 476 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Stroud, 494 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
And that's what I was saying. Stroud's not doing much better on the stats wise, so we'll see.
Yeah. So, we will see. We'll see. Like we said earlier, you have to use Cam Akers. You have to use Cam Akers. If you're doing a FanDuel or even a DraftKings, you gotta stick Cam Akers in there. I like the Vikings at home to keep rolling. Obviously, that's of course, I like the Vikings at home to keep rolling. I think they're being slept on. I think they get it done. Flores is just really showing what a good defensive coordinator he is. He's turned that whole defensive round in 2 seasons. Last year they had improvement, and this year they're already a top 5 defense and a top. I think they're the number 1 fantasy defense out there right now, which is, I don't know if I'd play them this week though. But I do have them
just
in
the
my
potential
year round.
Yeah.
Because they're opportunistic. They get turnovers, blocks, shit, stuff like that. All right, let's get into the next game. It is Philadelphia and New Orleans. New Orleans is on a tear like we haven't seen in a long time. I slept on New Orleans because I forgot that Clint Kubiak had come over to run their offense. And that changed a lot of things. I mean, his dad, was a great offensive coordinator for years, and he learned a lot. So he knows his football. But he seems to have figured out a way to get Shaheed deep and open, like the perfect timing to call those plays. And Kamara, man, looks like old Kamara in the first 2 games of the season in this offense. It doesn't seem like they're doing all these tricks. It just seems like they're running their schemes, man. And until they stop, I mean, Derek Carr, he has 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 443 yards. But passing league-wide is down this year. The passing yards are all down. Even Jalen Hurts only has 461 yards. So the 4 quarterbacks we just talked about, Darnold, Stroud, Carr, and Hurts, they all have about the same touchdowns and same yards, which is kind of crazy. I never would have thought that Derek Carr or Darnold would have been in those yards conversations with Stroud and Hurts, after 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Just because.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Nobody's like taken off yet, right? Nobody's taken off. I mean, Kyler had a 3 touchdown game last week and whatever, but nobody's really taken off yet. Burrow hasn't taken off yet. Mahomes and
right.
I don't even want to talk about Lamar. I mean, I'm not nothing bad about him, but it's just Dak Prescott. So yeah, nobody's taken off yet. Those guys are doing enough to win the game. I mean, they're doing fine. Darnold's doing fine. Carr's going off. I mean, it's just
And these guys, I don't know, man. Until they show me that they can be stopped, I'm going to go with them because I have to roll with the Saints on this one. Philadelphia has not looked good to me in week 1. Their defense has looked bad. They're in New Orleans in the Dome. So 49.5 is the over under.
So Philly's been giving up 2 passing touchdowns for the last 2 weeks every game.
Well, then that might be a good week to start. Carr, it's hard to start Carr, right? But and Olave hasn't really gone off yet.
Olave's not. And that's the thing. It's Rashid first 2 games.
This is deep.
And Kamara, and they're dinking into Kamara. They're just.
And Rashid's getting these long passes. He's got 1 in each game, and that has really carried him because I think he has like 5 receptions is the most receptions he's had, or 4. And it's kind of like the Jameson Williams effect. You know what I'm saying? It kind of feels like that.
The worthy right now with Chiefs don't know what's going to happen. No targets to tight ends last week. First week, both tight ends had more than 10 fantasy points. Last week, not 1 target for each of them, Morrow and Jawan. So when's the real Derek Carr going to stand up? That's one thing also too, but I think they're going to get Philly this week also. I would take a flyer on Carr. Philly's defense, like I said, 2 passing touchdowns for the last 2 weeks each game. Kamara running with them. I'm running with them. You're running with them.
Yeah.
The Shaheed, I'm running with Shaheed, and I'm running with Barkley also because he has been Philly's best offensive weapon the first 2 games.
Yeah. And I really think that you
and
could,
Hurts too.
you
I'm
could,
not, you have to play Hurts, right?
yeah, Hurts, Barkley, or
Devonta
Devonta Smith.
Yeah,
You
with
can go with
Brown out.
any of those 3 and you're good. If you want to try to get sneaky, and like say you just had some money laying around, Covey looked like he was really involved in the offense on that Monday night game.
Mhm.
Their receiver.
Yeah.
So if you're low on money and you just want a guy who might get some volume, you can kind of look at him a little bit. But yeah, I like the Saints until they lose. I'm not going to say they're the best team in the league because they're not, but they sure can score. And
That's
what
it.
they did in Dallas last week, hey, bro, hey, respect.
So we just talked about the Vikings game, but Joe Mixon has officially been ruled out. So Cam Akers,
So
he's officially out now.
okay. So Cam Akers is the guy. Get him in your lineups if you have not already. I picked him up in one of my leagues. I had to have, I lost McCaffrey and freaking Walker the third. So I picked him up. So hopefully that'll help me against my own team. I hate that, but I hope he scores a couple of touchdowns and they still lose the game. But
Well, the thing with Joe
All right.
Mixon, it's a hamstring, right? So that could be more than one game.
That's true. Okay, we got the Broncos and Buccaneers. Now, here's a couple of teams. I'm not surprised in one team, and I shouldn't be surprised about the other team. The Broncos are starting off 0-2, and I don't know, maybe he's lost it, man. Maybe their coach is no longer this great coach that, Sean Payton, he had all these accolades, and it just goes to show you, though, bro, when you have real talent that's different, like Drew Brees was different, Tom Brady was different, and it made these coaches look like the greatest coaches in the world. But you pull those quarterbacks out of those systems, and then they just become regular coaches again. And that's what happened with the Saints. I mean, with Peyton and the Saints when Brees is gone. I mean, we'll see. But anyway, they haven't got the running game going yet.
That's the down. I mean, that's the down part of this. Javonte had a lot of promise from his knee injury a couple years ago, and that's one thing I'm shocked about. I think that's the biggest thing I'm shocked about because I just keep thinking that he's going to be way better than he is, and it's just not happening. And then I think after this year, if he doesn't find it this year, I don't think he's ever going to find it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm waiting for him. I drafted him in one of my leagues thinking that he's going to have a quiet, good year. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
Like a solid year, and he'd finally be able to show. And he still might, man. I mean, they had Jaleel McLaughlin in game 1 a little bit, but game 2 they really ran Javonte more. The stats don't really show it, but I think they're going to stick with him.
Well, they played 2 tough defenses, okay? Pittsburgh and Seattle. So let's see what happens this game against Tampa Bay,
Yeah. So Tampa Bay, it comes in 2-0, and they're doing exactly what they did last year, getting out to a hot start, winning some games on the road that you didn't expect them to win, and beating Detroit on the road was huge. I think Baker just looks comfortable, man. Ever since last year, I just think he finally feels, you get to that point as a quarterback. We've seen it throughout the years, different quarterbacks, and just at some point, they're just like, man, they figured it out. I think that's where Baker's at, and that could be where Derek Carr is, man. He could finally be in a system. Think about it, bro. He came up with the Raiders. That's a losing situation no matter what. No offense to Raider fans, but come on. Let's just be real.
I know.
So now he's in a whole different system, a whole, atmosphere. He's looking better this year, more confident. He always had talent, but I think that's what we're seeing with Baker. They are 6-point favorites at home. I like that. I even like the 6 points, bro. Bo Nix looks like he's thrown into it, and but he's 384 yards, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, I think Peyton thought he had the next Drew Brees. Maybe, I think he had a lot of hope in him. It's not over yet, but Denver hasn't been. I mean, if you look at the last 2 games, they lost by 1 score. It hasn't been too bad. Their defense is playing actually okay. Patrick Surtain's gonna cover Evans. I like Godwin a lot this week. I'm not saying don't play Evans, but I like Godwin. I like Baker. I like Bucky Irvin if you need somebody cheap to slide in there. Rashid White, I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, he's what you always said he was, but we'll see. It's only week 2.
Right.
Tomorrow he might have 150 yards. That's how
he's
plays.
He's not going to have 150 yards.
No, but that's how he plays, though. Like, the first game he had 70-something receiving yards, and he had like 30 rushing yards. And then Bucky Irvin had a good game last week. But Denver-wise, I have Javonte playing this week, playing against Tampa Bay just to see if he could get off and, have a good game against them. Yeah. But I would go with Baker. I would go with Evans just because you have to, but I would go with Godwin over Evans.
Yeah.
Godwin would be my first pick.
Godwin's just been real consistent so far already. 15 receptions, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Crazy thing about the leaders for these teams is Bo Nix is their rushing leader. Just like we're saying, where the hell's Javonte?
That's what I'm saying.
9 carries for 60 yards. 60 yards after 2 games is their rushing leader.
That's what I'm saying.
That's bad, bro. And Bucky Irving on the other side, the backup, 16 carries with 84 yards. Where's Rachaad White? See, Rachaad White's ADP was way too high. Guys were picking him in like the 4th round and stuff, like 3rd and 4th round turn because they wanted those running backs. I was not touching Rachaad. I mean, you know how I feel about Rachaad, and I'm not saying he's bad, but when they use him and get him in the passing game, that's when he's more effective, I think. He's not a great runner. He just isn't.
No. I got Tampa Bay.
Me too. I got Tampa Bay.
Right on.
All right. So let's get on to the next game is Green Bay and Tennessee. Now, Jordan Love is still game time decision?
It just says questionable that they're trying to figure it out. That's all Matt LaFleur said.
This game should be tough. I'm looking for Tennessee to get their first win.
Me too.
They're at home. I'm looking for Tennessee to get their first win. I do like Pollard in this. I like Josh Jacobs.
But it's going to be different if Love's in, though, right? I mean, are you talking about with Willis being the starter?
Yeah, with Willis. If Love's in, I'd have to lean towards Green Bay. I mean, I would just have to.
Same here.
So, yeah. And as far as fantasy perspective, for me, I would play Pollard. I would play Jacobs. Jalen Reed, I know he was banged up, but he's not showing up on this injury report at all. So you can run Reed out there. What the hell happened to Christian Watson, bro? He got dropped in my other league, and I keep looking to maybe pick him up for future, but there's no one I really want to drop.
Well, Reed didn't have a great game last week either. Reed had, I think, 13 yards. But
that's because Willis.
Wicks and Dobbs
Yeah.
Dobbs had the best game. Yeah, I'm the same with you. I'm the same with you. Pick those, play them 3. I'm the same. I would pick Calvin Ridley this week. He had a good game last week. Levis finally found him. But Green Bay has a good defense. You seen what they did to Anthony Richardson yesterday. But I got Tennessee on this game, and I got Jacobs and the same guys you said.
Yeah. They're favored by 3.
Tennessee being at home.
37.5 over and under. So
it's just the whole Willis factor. That's all it is, to be honest. I mean, I know he did enough to win last week, but is that going to be – if Anthony Richardson would have
did anything,
they probably would have won that game. But Green Bay had a great scheme, great defensive scheme, and they stopped them. Green Bay played a good game.
When we get to that Richardson game, we got to just remember that dude's got like 6 games.
I know,
in the NFL, he's still learning. Okay, New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns, 6.5 point favorites. Cleveland are 6.5 point favorites over the Browns, and it's 38.5 over and under. This game, I don't know, man. I don't know how great Cleveland's defense really is. Daniel Jones at any given day could go off, or he can look horrible.
Yeah.
Dable's on the hot seat.
Hot.
I just can't pick New York to go in and get this win as much as I would want to. I just can't. I like Neighbors still because I think he finally showed what he can do last week. I do like Neighbors. It might be a little tougher for him this week, though. He has a tougher matchup for sure. I'm not sold on Judy. I'm not sold on Ford, Singletary, Deshaun. Probably Neighbors was the only one I would really look at from a daily fantasy perspective in this game. What do you got?
Yeah, Giants played Washington last week. Washington's defense hasn't showed anybody anything in the first two games. Cleveland either, but I think I did play Ford on one of my leagues just to see because they're playing the Giants defense. I think Ford has a good chance. Judy had a good game for Cleveland last week against Jacksonville. Jacksonville just or is bad. But I think Cleveland's defense is going to hold off the Giants and Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll, if they go 0 for 4, Brian Daboll might be fired.
Yeah.
If they go 0 for 4, he's
they don't mess around.
If they go 0 for 4 and he's not fired, I'd be really shocked. I mean, you would have to do that, right? I'm hearing now all the fans are calling for his head and all that. Yeah, I agree with you on the Giants side. Neighbors.
Man, here's the thing, though, with that real quick. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
The owner came out and said, oh, that's too much money. We can't pay. It's talking about Saquon Barkley. Okay, then don't pay him. But don't pay
Daniels,
one of the best backs.
But they paid Daniels.
Just like you said, you brought that up a couple shows ago, and you're absolutely right. And because of that, they have nothing around Daniels. There's nothing. They got Neighbors. He's still a rookie, but that's about it. So, I don't know if this is Daboll's fault 100%. I just think they're cheap ownership, and they're going to, you're right. He might, if he goes 0-4, he's gone. All right. Chicago and Indianapolis. Chicago is a dog. Well, Indianapolis is favored by 1, 43.5 over and under. Caleb Williams, 267 yards passing this year, 2 interceptions. Richardson, 416 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's where he's struggling. But here's the thing. Just like 2 games ago, we talked about Bo Nix was the leading rusher. Caleb Williams, 10 carries for 59 yards, is the leading rusher for Chicago. 59 yards. They have Roschon Johnson just sitting there.
Irritating.
They got Swift, who, did he forget how to run? Or I think it gets back to last year we blamed Getsky, and I think it's Eberflus, bro. Because Getsky's offense in Las Vegas looks way better than the Bears' offense does this year. So I might have to eat
with Minshew. That game last week that the Raiders played, that was like Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, and now they just got to get the running game going. But the running game, we'll see. But yeah, you're right.
And they got DJ Moore. They went out and got Rome Odunze. They got he's hurt right now, but Keenan Allen. So they're talking about all the Swift. They're talking about all these pieces they put around, and then went and got the flashy quarterback who's going to have a good career, I think, if they don't destroy him in Chicago. It just goes to show you, man, those cameras for the old, hard knocks. Is that what it is?
Hey, I'm wrong right now. Like right now, I'm wrong.
About what?
I gave a lot of credit
Caleb?
to the kid. Yeah, remember I said I think Caleb was going to score 20.
He's going to be fine.
No, I mean the first couple of games. Like I said, Caleb was going to score 20 the first couple of games. I'm not saying like I'm wrong about his career.
Yeah.
I mean, Rome Odunze does not look as good as a lot of people thought, I think, right now. Nope. At all.
Not
I
yet.
think Marvin Harrison Jr. Not yet. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors looking a lot better than, but Odunze doesn't look as good as I thought he would have already. It could be just because Caleb's not getting the ball out of his hand, quick enough. I think Caleb's struggling right now. The NFL did a good thing with the schedule this year. I mean, he put Stroud and he put Anthony Richardson right against him, right back to back. a second year
Right.
quarterbacks. I think that was on purpose.
Mhm.
I think Caleb will be okay. You're right, but they got to get that running game going. Swift, and that's what I was saying a couple weeks ago. Swift, when we did the running backs, and I had him as not to pick up. The reason I did that is because he had a good season with Philly the first half of the year. After that, he was nowhere to be found.
Mm.
Swift is not that guy unless they use him as a pass catching back. They're not.
Yeah.
Where's Roshan? The guy's young. Like and they have Herbert in there. Like, what's wrong with Roshan? Did he do something wrong? Is he really that bad in practice that he's not showing up? But for fantasy wise, I would pick Anthony Richardson this week. Stroud did not have a bad game against Chicago last week. And you know what? Michael Pittman, you got to show up, man. I would take the chance with Michael Pittman. I would do Jonathan Taylor. And on the Chicago side, on offense, honestly, I wouldn't pick nobody this week. But I have the Colts winning this game.
Maybe DJ if you had to, but he's going to be too expensive, so I wouldn't touch any of them. Alec Pierce, if you want to, he's starting to get up there in price.
Well, Josh Downs is back this week, so
yeah,
Josh Downs.
Pierce has put.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Pierce has put together two back-to-back games.
Yeah, he has.
Pretty good. So we'll see if that continues. But you're right, Josh Downs is back. Hopefully they won't. It's hard for me to go into like get a Josh Downs his first game back
100%
because you never know how they're going to use him. But
100%.
Josh Downs is bona fide once he gets back into that system. That's going to change things a lot for that team. I still like Richardson. He's probably too much on FanDuel to mess with, but I like him to have a good game, even against that Bears defense, because it seems like they're going to make him run more, and that's where he could be real dangerous. But yeah, man, you're right. Everything you said. The Bears, man, I don't know. It's week 3. I'm already saying this. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm worried.
Well, I think it's
because
I think now it's about if you have the right coach, you have the offense and all that. Keenan Allen, he gone. He ain't going to be there next year. Keenan Allen's. I think that it's a waste of money if you're going to keep him next year. I think this is his last year of his contract, anyways. He might show up again, but this is his every other year again. Hurt.
Yeah.
Plays all year, hurt.
Right.
Like I was saying last week, or when I was saying on the recap of week 2, I was saying I hope Anthony Richardson doesn't turn into Lamar Jackson in a way, not in a bad way, in a way of thinking he has to do everything by himself and just don't even pass and just run and get hurt. That's what I'm saying. Don't turn into something that you aren't. I know we all know you could run, but Lamar's having trouble right now, and that's all Lamar's trying to do. Don't do it, because then that's what happened to you in week 4. You got hurt. So, just keep playing your game. You had a bad game. Let's see what happens this week.
Yeah. Eberflus is just, he's like the Falcons coach last year, the Steelers offensive coordinator. What's his name? Arthur Smith. He's like an Arthur Smith. He has all this talent, doesn't know what to do with it. So anyway, we both like Colts. Indianapolis in that game. Okay, next game, Raiders-Panthers, 39.5 over and under. The Raiders are 6-point favorites, obviously. Sam Darnold,
Minshew.
Dalton. Andy Dalton is going to be their starting quarterback, which that change is way overdue. I think Bryce Young was just over his head, and he got thrust into a really bad situation as a rookie. That's tough. So hopefully they didn't destroy this kid. I hope they didn't, But anyway,
hope not.
There's not much to you could play Devontae, you could play Zamir White this week. You could play almost anyone on the Raiders side. For sure, play Brock Bowers. 100%.
Sure.
Run Brock Bowers out there. I like the Raiders. And until Andy Dalton shows me that there's something different about this team now with him there, with Thielen and a lot of people are saying Deontay
Johnson.
Johnson.
Yep.
You go play him now. I got to wait and see how they do this game first before I go all in on something like that.
Well, somebody's going to take a chance on Andy Dalton this week, because but the Raiders defense hasn't been that bad. Said Andy Dalton's going to go throw 2-3 touchdowns, but Andy Dalton's going to be cheap. He might have 2 touchdowns. He has that Legette is not a bad receiver, man. And then now that Deontay Johnson's over there, I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Dalton throws for 2 touchdowns tomorrow. Would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
But I tell you what,
Yeah.
I would be surprised if I don't see Minshew throw for 2 touchdowns tomorrow. And I see Minshew being a nice cheap play with Devontae Adams, and I actually did that on one, and I put Browers in it too. I did all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Zamir White, I seen a thing I told you about. Antonio Pierce was saying that he has to give him the rock more, and that he's going to start carrying, get more carries. I can see Zamir White having a good game. It's just sad because it's against Carolina, and the last 2 games Carolina's got 8 and up. But yeah, I would play everybody that you said on the Raiders side. On Carolina side, I would play Deontay Johnson, and I probably would. I probably would. He needs a receiver. What I read about it after they named Andy Dalton the quarterback. They said this is probably the best quarterback that Deontay Johnson's played with in the last 2 years.
That's probably true, bro. No, that's true. And Dalton's another one of those crafty old vets that knows how to play quarterback. He played at a high level for many years with Cincinnati. So this is definitely good for them. We'll see how much Dalton has left.
I picked the Raiders. I picked the Raiders, but don't be the same old Raiders, man. Like, they sneak one in, beat Baltimore, and then you guys lose to Carolina. Win this game. I'm not a Raider fan, but you know what? Win the game. Win the game.
Yep. I agree. All right, Miami and Seattle. In Seattle. Seattle's 2-0. Miami's 1-1. They got Skylar Thompson. I don't know if a week, helps that situation. Getting thrust into the game last week, he looked pretty bad. But they really didn't even throw a lot with him because they were already losing by so much. They just kind of handed the ball off to their reserves. I like Achane. Always like Achane, especially now with Thompson in there. I like Achane even more. But you can't ever sleep on Tyreek because it don't matter who's throwing him the ball. He can make things happen, especially if they put in a game plan for it, that is targeted towards Skylar Thompson's strengths, maybe a couple of 5-and-ins, quick slants, things like that. Tyreek could always take those to the house. I'm probably a little worried about Waddle. I have him in both of my leagues, and I have him on my bench in one of my leagues. Because I just not sure about Waddle.
That's a big
in this
one.
situation.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one.
I'm not sold on DK, but he does have 13 receptions, 158 yards. He had a big game last week. He looks like he's having a good year. Geno's looking good so far. He almost has 500 yards passing, 498 passing. And then their running game, Charbonnet is going to be cheap, and the Dolphins defense got tore up horribly by James Cook. James Cook cooked him. He cooked him. So Charbonnet may not be a bad play in daily fantasy. They're 4.5 point favorites. Seattle is 41.5 over and under. Who do you like?
I like. I'm going to pick Seattle. They're just being at home, and I think Skylar can make have Denver or have Miami win just because, like you said, Tyreek and all that, but and Achane. But Seattle's defense has showed a lot in the last 2 games. Jackson Smith-Jigba had a great game last week. I thought he would have been a great player coming in this year. Geno had a good game with him last week, plus DK. Charbonnet didn't look good. I mean, last game, Charbonnet didn't. Last game he didn't really, but that was against New England. They have a good run defense. So, but yeah, I got Seattle. Just Skylar didn't look too. I don't know. I think it's the whole quarterback thing. I mean, that's big. That's big. Yeah. But we'll see with the whole weekend. I like Jono Smith on Miami side though, and I like Achane. I like Tyreek.
Yeah, they've been using Smith a little more, especially with Skylar. I think they'll probably even use him more. I like Miami to go in and get a win.
I would love to see it.
I don't know why.
I would love to see it, but just the way Seattle's defense has been playing, that's why But I would love to see Miami win that game. To be honest,
yeah.
I don't want to see him drop because they lost Tua.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him just gone because they lost Tua. I hope they could stay above 500 or at 500 until Tua comes back, because it sounds like he's coming back. Sounds like he's not retiring.
Yeah. Nope, he's not. Ravens, Cowboys. Ravens need a win, bro. I mean, we don't. It's too early to say must win, and I hate when people say must win in week 3. But this is pretty close to a must win for the Ravens, man. They need this win. Dallas needs this win too. Dallas cannot drop their first 2 home games, bro. They cannot.
Crazy.
If they do, Jerry Jones is gonna go crazy. Someone's gonna get fired. Jerry Jones will go crazy if they lose the first 2 games at home. They are a 1-point dog at home. Dallas is 47.5 is the over and under. Dallas's defense got exposed last week against the Saints. It could be a Zimmer thing. I don't know. We are just giving Zimmer props, man.
Give him props,
and then he turns around and does that.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know who's going to show up here, bro, on either one of these teams.
They
To
had
me,
a
this is
whole.
that's why it's a 1 point. It's a toss up.
They had a whole thing about Zimmer last week before the game too. They had a whole thing about him. No, they did. They did.
No,
They had
I
a whole
believe
thing
you.
about him on Fox in the morning about Mike Zimmer, about what he did, and then now what? That was a
Yeah.
little premature. It's
Just
the same
this
old
one game.
Cowboys last game, and the same old Cowboys is they play like that and they come out the next game and dominate. I don't see them dominate
Yeah.
too much, but Baltimore, like you say, you don't know what's going to happen. This and that. I think there's a better chance that Baltimore loses than Dallas wins. I mean, than Dallas losing. Just Baltimore don't look that their offense and their defense is not what it was last year. I mean, you gave up 30 points to the Raiders, 20.
Yeah.
Dallas's defense, I think they'll show up, but like I said, I think Lamar's lost. He's really lost. If they lose tomorrow, the way that they've been, they're in big trouble. Is it the offensive line?
Yeah.
Is it because or not the offensive line, but the offensive coordinator? Is it because they don't have a receivers? They have one receiver, man. They have one. They have
He's
one
good. He's good. Zay Flowers.
Zay
is
Flowers
good.
is good, but I mean they have one guy that he
Yep.
Isaiah likely had nothing last week. Why don't you use him as a receiver? I don't know. Is it offense coordinator? I don't know. I mean, it's really surprising watching them, but I think Dallas is going to win this game just because I think there's more issues with Baltimore than we see.
I agree with you. I agree that Dallas should win this game. I mean, I expect a big game from CD and Dak. I don't expect anything out of that running game, yet until
Man, Zeke looked like a linebacker. Did you hear what I said on that recap? He looked like
I did. He did, man. He did. Zeke, man. You gotta love Zeke though, man. He's still out there though, trying to get his. But yeah, man, he's lost a step or 3 for sure, brother. I just think this game's too big for John Harbaugh to start off 0-3. It's hard for me to bet against Harbaugh 0-3. I don't know the last time I've seen that.
I agree with you,
I'm
but
gonna go with Baltimore.
I agree.
I'm gonna
with
take
you.
Baltimore.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But
I feel you.
Like you
100%.
say that, but Dallas losing 2 in a row at home at the first.
I can see that happening more because Dallas is like that. They do crap like that.
I just watching Baltimore and they're just struggling. They're struggling.
You're right.
Like
They
Lamar is, but I have Dallas. I hate to say it, but I have Dallas. I just think there's more issues with Baltimore. I would love to see Baltimore win this game. I would love to see Lamar snap out of it. You know what I mean? Snap out of it and then get going. But I feel bad for Lamar Jackson. Straight up, he's trying everything he has to do to win that game, and it's just slipping out of his hands.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough situation there. We'll see how it turns out. Detroit at Arizona. Detroit, man, they surprised me. And I watched that show Receivers, and they had St. Brown as one of the receivers, and I forgot how their coach
Campbell,
Detroit's Dan Campbell went for it on 4th down in a game against I think
the Niners. Was it the Niners?
The Niners too.
Playoffs, yeah.
Yes, twice. They didn't get it both times, and he could have kicked field goals. That game never would have went to overtime. Whatever, they go to the Super Bowl. But he's so damn stubborn. Oh, this is how we do it. And even St. Brown, we expected to go for it because this is how we do it. There's a way to coach in the regular season, and there's a way to coach in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand that. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying he needs to clean that up, because that costs them an opportunity to do something that franchise has never done, and they may never do it now. I mean, those windows, bro, they open and close quickly, And so I just thought that was crazy. And then just last week, he's crying on the podium because he had his special teams kind of on the field ready to run on there to kick a field goal, and they got flagged for their special teams being on the field, and they end up losing that, at the half. So they lose that game. So he's got some things to clean up. I think they get the win this week, though, on the road against the Cardinals. But they're only 3-point favorites, man. And it's a 51.5 over and under. I would not be surprised if Kyler Murray is in a little groove and him and the kid really start gelling, and Connor keeps rolling and running. And if Connor goes down, I think Benson would do fine in that backup role. He doesn't seem to be doing a lot right now.
No.
But I think if he had to be like get 20 touches, 20 carries, he would do okay. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
the Cardinals look offensively, they look all right.
Yeah, they don't look bad. I think Detroit has something to prove from the last two games. They barely beat the Rams, lost Tampa Bay. I think they're going to come in a little more. It's a little more firepower. Carolina's offense is. I think they're going to keep clicking. They did look good. Harrison had all that in the first half and nothing at the end, right? But I think McBride, he had a good game. Connors had a good game, but I think Detroit's going to be a little too much for him this week. I can see it being a great game. I don't see it being a blowout by either side.
Yeah.
The Cardinals' offense looked good, and their defense didn't do too bad either. But I think Detroit's going to come in and win this game. I think you have to play Gibbs. I think Montgomery will be good this week. I actually picked Aaron St. Brown. I think the first game wasn't good at all. Last game he had more than 14 targets. That's what they need to do to win. Detroit needs him to play like that. So I got Detroit to win this game also. But I actually have a league that I put Kyler in too on FanDuel. I don't see Kyler dropping too much, but we'll see. But I think Detroit has something to prove this week.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Niners, Rams, always a tough game. Interdivision game. They always play each other tough, no matter what their records are. 6.5-point favorite on the road going into LA are the Niners. But the Niners come in banged up, man. They don't have Debo. Now they just lost Kittle. McCaffrey's out. Okay, Mason has proven he can fill in, right? No one's McCaffrey, but he could fill in. Purdy has been looking good. Purdy got sacked 6 times last week by the Vikings. That's a lot, bro. That worries me about their line.
Well, Williams looks like shit. Train camp all year, looks like crap.
Exactly. You get these guys holding out, bro, for the money, for the bag,
and
then
Ayuk looks
first
like
couple
crap.
of weeks they look bad. Ayuk, he's gonna have to step it up tomorrow.
I see him stepping up tomorrow.
Who do they have as their backup tight end? Because it may not really matter, because I'm not sure how much Shanahan's going to run a tight end out there anyway.
Sauber Sobert, or I don't even know who it is. It's I don't know.
Yeah. So
but,
it is Sauber. It is Eric Sauber is their
Jawan
backup,
Jennings is going to be the number 2, and then Josh Counting is going to be the number 3. But I think Ayuk's going to have a great game. I think he's going to have to step up tomorrow. He has to step up tomorrow. But you have 2 guys out, 3 guys out. So
yeah. Well, I'm going to pick the Niners, but it's not like I'm not happy making this pick.
No, Rams are hurt too. The Rams have both their starting receivers out. They have 2 that are off. They have 4 guys that went out last week.
Nick Bosa's questionable.
Nick Bosa's questionable now.
Is he going to play though? He'll probably play.
Travaris Ward's questionable. It sucks that it has to be this game's like this for both sides.
Yeah.
Injuries on both sides of the team. Both teams have bad injuries, and I wish they were both healthy. And I got the Niners to win this game, but to me, it's a flip of a coin this week, to be honest with you, because you have 3 of your best offensive players out this week. That's pretty rough.
Exactly. I'll go against you and I'll go Rams just so we can have a little banter since you picked Houston against my Vikings. So we got to keep it.
Well, you already picked the Niners though. You already picked the Niners. You just
I'm going back. I'm like some politicians. I'm flip flopping.
Yeah. No, I'm actually I don't disagree with you. I mean, like I just said, it's a flip of a coin. To be honest, I mean, it's when you have a team, when you have both teams coming in with. I think the Rams have 2 offensive linemen out, but they have their 2 receivers out, and then you have the Niners 3 offensive weapons out. So that's tough.
Yeah, that is tough. All right, Kansas City and Atlanta. So the Falcons showed up on Monday night. They got that dub, against the Eagles in comeback form. Mm-hmm. We had talked about that a little bit, and we both agreed Cousins still didn't look like Cousins, but he's looking better. Mm-hmm. Especially that last drive. That last drive, it's like something woke up in him, got a little bit better, got the win. Kansas City's a 3-point favorite. It opened at 5, but now it's down to 3 on the road. Atlanta's defense is tough, man. It's not like a pushover defense. Mm-mm. This should be a decent game. I see Kansas City still getting the win, though. Mahomes is just Mahomes. Uncharacteristic, though. He's got 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, which for him is kind of, 50-50. That's not the normal Mahomes. I think he'll clean that up. 442 yards passing. Cousins, 396 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Pacheco's out, as we know. So that's been the biggest thing. Who's still gonna be the guy is, I think Pirine will probably have a bigger role too because he's a vet. Mm-hmm. Steele's a rookie, kind of a walk-on rookie. I think they like him though. They like Steele a lot. So maybe Andy Reid will have a lot of packages for him. Bijan, Bijan's Bijan. You got to go with Bijan. I like Rice. I like Worthy to have a good game now.
Same here.
To have a good game. I like Rice to just continue being consistent because I think he's quickly becoming Mahomes' go-to and number 1 guy. And I wouldn't, Kelsey, I wouldn't touch Kelsey. Darnell Mooney leads Atlanta. Darnell Mooney.
I know.
And I think that's what he got in the last game. In one game, he got those stats.
Yeah, McLeod was leading after the first game, and now it's Mooney, yeah.
Where the hell is Drake London, bro? And Kyle Pitts? What are these guys? Maybe we're missing something. Maybe they're not that good, man.
Drake had the touchdown. Well, Drake had the touchdown last game,
but he's got no yards, no targets, no. You know what I'm saying? I like Kansas City in this game. What about you?
I have Kansas City also. Run game's going to be a little tricky, but I think Perine's going to get the first shot. They were actually saying Carson that Steele was going to, but I think it's going to be Perine just because his veteran being a veteran. I won't touch Kelsey. I won't even touch Mahomes. Mahomes is not scoring fantasy points that you would want him to. I think Worthy will come back this week. I know that I think the Chiefs know they have to get him in the game plan to dominate, and I like Rashee Rice a lot too. Atlanta side, you got to go with Bijan. Anybody else? It's a flip of the coin.
Yeah,
I like Chiefs.
No, I agree. And I kind of believe, like I even said, Pirine, is a vet. Steele is just this rookie. They have Steele as their number 1 back right now on the depth chart, but he may get the start but not be used as much too. So I could totally see them going with the more veteran back there than the rookie, depending on but we'll see. I like, we both got Kansas City in that game.
Steele will be a good one though. Sorry, but a steal will be a good one to put on fantasy on like FanDuel though, because it's going to be just that one nighter, but he's going to be cheap.
Yeah,
if you do the main slate, he'll be on there too. But he's going to be cheap to if you have a couple lineups out there, just to throw him in.
Exactly. All right, we have a couple more to get through here. Jacksonville and Buffalo.
Yeah, I know.
It's a 5-point spread. Buffalo's a favorite. They're at home, 45.5 over and under. I got Buffalo until Jacksonville shows me something. I'll take Buffalo. They proved me wrong. I got to eat some crow on this one. I said that they need a main guy receiver. Apparently they don't because they don't have a main receiver. I mean, Shakir, 8 receptions, 96 yards after 2 weeks. That's their leading receiver, and he got a lot of that last game. We still haven't seen anything out of Kincaid. He had a little better game last week, and James Cook, it looks like they're really trying to establish a running game. And Josh Allen was a fantasy dud last week. We thought that, so they're really trying to make this a team thing. I don't know. I can't go with the Jaguars yet until they show me that they're not inept, because they've been looking bad, man. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked good.
Jaguars going 0-3, Lonnie. Damn. Trevor Lawrence got his bag. I think Buffalo's going to win this game. I think Cook's going to have a great game. I think Josh Allen's going to have a good game Monday night. He needs to use Kincaid. I don't know why they're not. You're the quarterback. You got to pass the ball. He's your best receiver. He is your best receiver. He is. He's better than Coleman. He's better than all those guys. There's 2 games Monday night, so you could do a little, it's going to be a fun one on a Monday night for captain and all that. So I think Josh Allen is going to probably be the best quarterback of that Monday night out of these four teams. So on the Jacksonville side, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed in it, Like, I thought Jacksonville was going to be a lot better this year.
Yep, me too.
Travis Etienne Jr. I would play against Buffalo, and Brian Thomas Jr. I'm flying high with Brian Thomas Jr. I've been high on him the whole year, and he's actually been showing up the last 2 games still.
Yep.
So I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr. and Etienne Jr. and Evan Ingram's out also. So,
yep,
I got Buffalo.
I agree. It's probably going to be a better game than I think. Washington and Cincinnati, they end the week off on the last Monday night game. Cincinnati has to win. They're a 7-point favorite at home, 47.5 over and under. They have to win this game. They're 0-2. They're at home. They have to win this game. Jaden Daniels he's going to be good. I don't know about in this particular game, but his running ability, and I think he's going to, get better as a passer. Brian Robinson Jr. surprised me, man. They're really using him as their lead back, and he's showing up. I mean, he had a lot of hype coming in as a rookie, then got shot and had to, rehab that. And so we're kind of seeing what Brian Robinson Jr. can do, and I like it. Eckler, I like his role. If they're going to have the workhorse in Brian Robinson, man, they bring Eckler in. He's catching, passes. Yeah, so, yeah, all that being said, though, Cincinnati has to win, and I expect to see Chase have a big game. Finally, you get a big game.
I'm thinking the
under
same
his
thing.
belt.
I'm thinking the same thing.
They're finally using the tight end a little bit. That's because T's been out, but T is supposed to be.
He's playing.
Yeah. Okay. So T is in. So I think now he has all his weapons.
So with T in, I see Chase having a big game.
Yeah, and I don't see Zach Moss holding on to this. Man, he's 21 carries for 78 yards. Now, he may still be the lead back at the end of this game, but Chase Brown needs opportunities, bro. He's way more dynamic than Zach Moss, and we'll see. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I like Cincinnati in this one.
Yeah, Cincinnati's run game's killing them. Chase Brown hasn't showed anything either when he gets a chance either, though, to be honest. I mean, even if you get 8 carries a game, you got to show something, right? But he hasn't shown nothing either. So I do think Chase Brown will take over the job by the end of the year, and I hope he takes over the job in the next couple of weeks. But I think Cincinnati's going to win this game, and I think Jamar Chase is going to have a great game Monday night, and I think it's because T. Higgins is back. And I think on the Washington side, I would play Brian Robinson Jr., and then I would even take a flyer on Daniels.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely could take a flyer on Daniel, especially if you're playing that captain's game. Yeah, he's got to be in everyone's lineup. You know,
Lawrence is probably going to be the cheaper quarterback out of the 4 teams, but Daniel's probably going to be number 3.
Yeah. So there's your week in your weekly preview for week 3. This should be an exciting week. We have a couple unbeatens playing each other. We have a couple teams who haven't won games playing each other. We have some real important games like in that AFC North, Ravens, Bengals. They both need a win. You know, both starting off the season 0-2, so it should be real interesting. You got any last thoughts, man, before we sign off on this?
No, not really. I mean, it's 2 games Monday night. Not really. I'm just I want to see a couple teams to see how they play this week. There's a couple teams that's on my radar to see if they change it up.
Yeah. No, I hear you. All right. Well, I am Lonnie. He is Jake. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.